Hey, how's it going, everybody? Um, Someone commented on a very old video of mine when I just started building my layout, and I was talking about how I wired up my DS64, and I mentioned that it was relatively easy, but I didn't show actually anything that I did on it. So I wanted to make a brief video to add on to YouTube because I felt like the um, the manual doesn't explain everything that it can do, I guess, in detail. And I might be having that same issue with the DS74 because I would imagine it would be equivalent, but excuse me. So I use two of my outputs for to do automatic switching on two of my turnouts. One is for the reverse loop that's on the third level, and the other is for a reverse loop that starts on the second level, but it 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 grades down from the second level to the first level, and it kind of it does create my main loop. So along with the DS64, I use the BD4N, which detects 4 sections of track. So I use 3 of them, and I'll tell you what those 3 are for. One obviously is for the turnout that's on the third loop, on the third level that I mentioned, and the other 2, they are for the for the reverse loop that I mentioned, is between the second and first level. So I'll go to the track and try to clear that up. So right now, you'll see a train that is on one of the legs of the reverse loop that starts on the second level and it ends on the first level. So it wraps around and then it heads back up on this track. And so when the trains are coming up, I don't want to always play around with the turnouts. And so because in order, the way that I got around that is that I have 2 isolated tracks that are these 2 tracks right there are these 2 tracks. So I have some isolated tracks that start right here, the code 55 on this track, and you can see it on the other track as well. And so since that's isolated, there it's at this point. Since I have it isolated, I'm able to alternate on the turnout. So depending on where the train is, it'll align the turnout the way I want it to be aligned. So I'll show you how that is wired right now. Also, for the loop on the third level, I have this section of isolated track. So as long as this train rides up, as long as the train is approaching this track in that direction, when it comes back here, it will align so the train doesn't derail. And when the train gets back here, I have another set of segment of isolated track, which is like 6-inch, the 6-inch track or whatever, and it actually will flip this turnout back and it will realign for it to be straight again. So it's pretty much make sure that my turnouts are aligned so I don't have any derailments and I don't have to think about that. So I think the directions are pretty straightforward on how to wire the BD4N. So each jack is wired to an isolated track. But this cable is what connects to the DS64, and you can use your own cable or whatever, but I do use the Digitrax offering, which is the ribbon cable, or 8 pins or whatever, I believe. But for the DS64, which it's a bit different from the DS74, I have to strip some of them. I have to strip 4 of the cables, and that's kind of in the directions. And basically, what I did here is just going from memory. The black and the white correlates with the I think they call it the DS1, or basically switch
one. So there's a pair for that, and that is in the directions. And which one is this? For my turnout 3. Actually, it's number 3. If you look real close, that's for the third level. So if you wire it this way, probably you can reverse it as well. And you go and change. You can change some of the settings in the DS64. And I believe once you get into the settings, you look for switch 12. You have to switch that to closed, I believe. And once you switch it to closed, if you have it wired in this manner, along with the isolated track, you're able to automatically flip your turnouts. So I think that's useful, as you think of ways to, strategically move your trains around with the less push of buttons. I hope that's pretty clear. I think even if I'm not clear, if you just look at my wiring, that it would make sense. As well as making sure that in your settings of the DS64 you have the app switch 12 as closed. So that should be all. Thanks.